So in the first instance, you need to have a distribution strategy that allows you to provide commissionable rates to retail and wholesale travel distributors, so that you are in the programs that are distributed through the trade to consumers. So very important to have a commissionable rate and be able to be contracted with the various trade players, whether that's Infinity, Qantas Holidays, Expedia, Webjet, Virgin Australia Holidays, Jetstar Holidays. They're the type of distributors I'm talking about. The second pillar, if you like, is digital distribution, which is where you need to have your channels working for you so that you are communicating to your either existing customers or new customers. And that's very much using your social channels and also online to make sure that you are communicating and feeding information through a distribution channel that allows you to communicate what your product and experience is all about. There's really three key ways that consumers are sourcing information: through digital channels, which is things like TripAdvisor, and social channels, because they are using their social networks to get references for the type of holiday that they're looking to have, and also word of mouth, which is generally using their peer networks to reference their ideas and their planning and their dreaming phase for holidays. We know for sure that there is high demand for Margaret River. So the context of that particular experience is food and wine. Their very strong understanding of Margaret River is as a wine region. And what we are trying to educate consumers on is that Margaret River is so much more than a wine region, but fundamentally, when they look for a food and wine experience, Margaret River has very strong demand. There is also quite a bit of demand for the Kimberley. So the Kimberley is the type of experience that can't really be secured anywhere else in Australia. And what's important about the Kimberley is it allows Western Australia to differentiate itself in the eyes of the domestic consumer from other parts of Australia. So it's very hard for us to differentiate in some ways because every state in Australia has a city. Every state in Australia has beaches and marine experiences. Every state has a food and wine offering. Every state has principally an outback or country regional experience. Every state has an island. So we need to identify what are the key things that we can differentiate so that we can appeal to the domestic consumer and encourage them to overcome those barriers of time, cost, distance and want to come to Western Australia. So the Kimberley does that for us because it is very different, and you really can't get that anywhere else other than potentially the Northern Territory, which has a similar sort of outback, rugged landscape type experience. So there's very strong demand for the Kimberley. The audience that we talk to at a domestic level, we call the dedicated discoverers. The dedicated discoverers is a Roy Morgan segmentation piece that we use, and they are definitely after the type of holiday that Western Australia has to offer. They are generally 35 to 64, they have a household income of over $100,000. They're generally looking for off the beaten track, adventurous type experiences. They want authentic experiences that not necessarily their peer group has done. The majority of the dedicated discoverers that we talk to are Sydney, Melbourne and Perth. If you are a small tourism operator that doesn't necessarily have a very big marketing budget, and you are trying to make decisions about what's the best way for you to spend what might be quite a small budget, and how you take advantage of the very large and competitive environment that we operate in. So you need to source the opportunities that get you further reach. So have a listing on TripAdvisor. Actually not that expensive. Maybe even have a listing with the Australian Tourism Data Warehouse. They also are doing that reach job for you because they're distributing your product beyond your own capability. Potentially be a member of your regional tourism organisation. They are also distributing your product beyond your own capacity. So they are putting you in a holiday planner, they're distributing those holiday planners domestically and internationally. Perhaps Booking.com. Booking.com has a really large share of the domestic market at the moment as an online travel agent. Booking.com also has an integration with TripAdvisor and Tiger. But of those consumers that are booking fares with Tiger, Booking.com is now presenting accommodation inventory on the Tiger website. So if you're an accommodation provider, you have the potential to be surfaced on the Tiger site when people are booking fares. Equally with Virgin Australia have a holidays program, so Virgin Australia Holidays. If you're contracted with Expedia, you get the value of being in the Virgin Australia Holidays program, plus you also potentially will flow into the Expedia digital distribution as well. So if you can only pick a couple, pick Expedia and Booking.com.